Hi there, I'm Rob Lamb. Welcome to my channel where I talk about boosting your income through real estate investing and side hustles, whether you are working a full-time job or part-time job to better your life with a success mindset and become financially independent. In this video, I'm going to talk about a super cool business that I've been involved with, and it's not something I've been talking much about, and that is flipping medical commodities, most popularly known as diabetic test strips. I've been getting a lot of questions from other people about how I've been able to systematize this business after just a few short months. I've been making hundreds and thousands of dollars now, even in this business. In this video, I wanted to share with you a tool that I use to automate my test strip business and let it do the follow-ups for me, 100% automated. If that interests you, then stay tuned to watch the whole video. When I first heard about this business, I was clueless what it was all about. But I set out to study it, and it has honestly been some of the easiest money I've ever made in my life. A quick 1 or 2 sentence description of this business is that it involves the buying and selling of these little boxes of test strips here. These are from AccuCheck and Aviva Plus. Diabetics use these to test their sugar level. They prick their finger into a meter and check their sugar level. And they get these from insurance and sometimes get extra boxes from them because they switch meters or they don't use them all, or they may have even inherited them from a loved one who might have passed. Well, we can buy these test strips at a wholesale price and then sell them to other buyers for very good margins. For example, just yesterday I bought a bunch of these test strips for like $200, and I was able to resell them and got $450. So I doubled my money. And that's the kind of margins we're talking about. I have managed to automate the follow-ups in this business by adopting some of what I've learned in real estate and applied it here. And I have all of my incoming communication tracked in one system. And I'm going to jump into the nitty-gritty of this system, and perhaps there are 1 or 2 ideas that could help you here. So here we go. By the way, before I go back to the office, if this is your first time hearing about me, please consider subscribing to me and support the channel. And if you find the video beneficial for your business, if you don't mind, just press the like button and it would really help me out. All right, so here we go. All right there, guys. The CRM or customer relationship management system that I use very successfully is called REI Reply. I use it for my real estate. I've been doing real estate for over 15 years and flipped hundreds of properties and made tens of thousands of dollars and continue to do that today. And it's such a powerful tool that I've actually integrated it and used it, customized it for diabetic test strips. And what I wanted to go over is the power of a system like this, where whether you use this or not, you should apply this into your business in order to get more and more business for yourself. And this has everything under the sun for conducting a business of any kind. Even though it's been customized to do real estate, I really think that it can be used for anything. Now, this particular tool, they say there's a $497 one-time fee, but I actually have a special link that waives that, and I only pay $49 a month, but it is well worth it. Just recently, I had a follow-up customer who contacted me back, and that turned into over $1,500 of insulin that I made as a profit. So hey, what's that worth to you, right? To generate like $1,000, and it's been consistent now. I've been getting calls even when I stopped marketing. I've had people contacting me consistently because of my follow-up system. So without further ado, let me jump in to what this tool is. And I'm not going to go into all the features of it. I wanted to point out specifically for the diabetic test strips what I did here. And in this CRM, there's different pipelines. Okay, like I told you before, my main pipeline is for real estate. If you jump over to real estate, I have different like categories on what leads have responded, which ones I sent offers to, and which are cold, hot, or warm leads. But I'm not going to have that for diabetic test strips. For the diabetic test strips, I basically had a very simple system. Those that are leads, those that call it in, and then those that are customers, right? And and then they have different kinds of follow-up type systems. What you see here in the dollar amounts, I haven't been keeping that up, so that's not how much money I made in actuality. I really haven't been updating it to the T, so that's not accurate. But even though I've been lazy about it, it's still like several $1,000s that I've made, and it's only been like several months since I've been doing this business. And anyway, I want to jump in now where it talks about how there's the different breakdowns. When I have a lead come in, it comes into like a lead folder, and then like I can move these around. I can move a lead that I talk to them, and then move them into a quoted price. I can schedule a pickup, determine if I've inspected the boxes, dropped off the boxes, or they became a customer. So I can move the leads along. And let me show you what a typical lead might look like. Let's say Maria here. She called in, and I've got everything that's tracked from every person who calls. It's recorded. So I had a 5-minute phone call here, and she sent me some of the pictures that she had, and then we can determine if I buy them or not. And I quoted her a price, and I put her into the follow-up system. So I'm going to show you how that works here in a minute, because there's different tags here that you can associate to that person, and then it'll determine what kind of lead they are. So if Maria here is someone that I wanted to turn into a customer because I picked up the product, inspected it, and purchased the products from her, I would drag her over to the customer pipeline here, and that would trigger a whole nother series of text messages. All right, so that's the high level. Let me show you my various text messages that I have set up for the diabetic test strips. I created them here. These are different campaigns. You'll see here that I have one called Diabetic Potential Customer. And for this one, anytime someone calls me, it comes into the system, and I have a series of SMS messages that go out to them. So as you can see here, it says, hi, you reached out to us, and I follow up like here every 2 days. After they first called, if it didn't become a deal, I will follow up in 2 days, and then I follow up again in 6 days, in 20 days. So any call is in the system, and I'm going to keep following up every 20, 25, 30 days, and I can add them as much as I want here. Something else I wanted to show you is that you can add new events to this follow-up system. I just kept this very simple with SMS messages, but you can literally add an event like an email. You can drop RVM called ringless voicemail, and it won't even dial them. It'll just drop it on their voicemail and record a voicemail message. This can also call you, and then call them. So this is kind of like automatic 3-way calling, if you would. So at that set moment, like let's say another 30 days, it's going to call you and call them at the same time. And also some of these other ones is it can set up like ways that puts it into a manual call setup. That way, when you're ready to make a bunch of cold calling, you can just push start, and you can do a bunch of manual calls, all like one after the other. You can also tie it into your Facebook messages and things like that. Okay, so let's say we add another email here. You can put in here like follow up about your test strips, and you can type a message. Anyway, I just jumped real quick so you don't watch me typing. You can just put something like this. Hi, you reached out to us about selling your diabetic test strips. Look forward to doing some business with you, etc. Put your company name, your phone number, etc., etc. And you can save this into this follow-up system so that when the 30, let's say it's going to be another like 1 day after this one, Okay, one day after this last SMS, you can have an email that goes out. And you can sprinkle these emails after every SMS. You can also add emails so it hits them both with texting and email, and you can scatter that around. So if the prospect has an email, it's going to automatically send this email out. So that's really powerful. I can just create all these little touch points, right? Where I can just tell them, hey, just touching base, do you still have those test strips? Are you in need of any money? Um, just kind of text them like you would text them now. You set it up once and you set it and forget it. So this series of messages are for those that are potential leads. Now, also in the configuration of these messages, I make them go out from like 8:30 in the morning to 6:30. I don't like sending them too late because it's not good when you're like hassling people when they're maybe at nighttime and stuff like that. And I've even had people send back like, hey, don't send me so late at night. It kind of puts a bad taste in their mouth, right? So I try to get a better range. I put 7 days a week, but you can change this around if you don't want to do weekends and things like that. So there's different settings here that you can set. Now that series of messages are for potential customers. This here are all the monthly customers. These are actual customers, and this is where it's a gold mine. After they have contacted you, because I have here their first name, so it's very personalized. I can have personalized variables. Hi, John. We are so glad you called a month ago about your test strips. Glad to have you as a customer. And then I just touch base with them, and there's many variables that I can put in here. Like, you can say, hey, is this your phone number? And if you had something that you talked to them about before, you can put different kind of variables in here to make it customizable. But that's one. And see, there's other follow-up messages about every 33 days here, every month, because what I found is that I want to keep in front of them in case they get these refills. So this is exactly what happened when I got some of these follow-ups, is because you don't want to forget about them after they become a customer. It's a different kind of message, because the other message, their leads, you're like, hey, are you still looking to sell? You can have a similar message here, but they're already a customer of yours. I contact them and call them by first name, because I always try to get their first name so it's a little more personable. And I talk like I'm assuming the sale. I'll be saying things like, hey, it's been great doing business with you. When are we ready to pick up another batch? So, you want to keep them as a customer and talk to them in that manner. Okay. So those are the two kind of flows that I have: the monthly, regular, and then the other ones that are potential. So when an incoming leads comes along, let me just show you here. When I come into the pipeline, if Larry here, let's say, whenever Larry is a lead, as you can see here, he first calls me from my marketing, and all these numbers are tagged. In this case, I can just follow. Every conversation is tracked here in detail, and I can put notes. See, I can put any details about what kind of products he has and save it so that I can always follow up with him. See these follow-up messages here? Even after we talked about it, it didn't turn into a sale, but I made sure that, like, even after we had talked back in June, in a couple weeks, I sent him another message here, and then again and again. So this is really, really, really important. And this way, I don't have to worry about these customers. Look at all these people. After a while, it's going to really grow, and you don't want to be the guy that forgets about it, because if you forget it, someone else is going to remember. So I want to make sure that you don't forget to send these follow-up messages. Now, I want to point something else out here, is that I have specific phone numbers that I track. So, for example, I have a couple of phone numbers that I use in my marketing. One number I know is tied to a certain kind of marketing, like signs, and then I have another one that I use that I know that when they're calling about the test strips, it will be like from a Craigslist ad. Whenever someone calls me from my number, I have a whisper message. What a whisper message is it'll tell me, like just to me, not to the caller. It says strips. So that way, when they call that number, I know that it's talking about the test strips. That way, when I answer it, I'll say, hey, how are you doing? Are you calling about the test strips? And I know that they are because they're calling through that number. And it forwards to whatever number that I like, whether it's Google Voice or my cell phone. So I think that's really powerful, is that whenever someone calls you, it tracks it and stores it in the system, and it even tells you in advance what kind of call it is. And the other number that I have, it would tell me in another message. Like it would tell me 872, because that one tells me like the prefix, but you can just say something like, Craigslist or something like that. That way, if they call, it'll give you a little warning, Craigslist. Then you know it's coming from Craigslist. That way, when you're submitting or putting that information into the system, you can put in there what source it came from, and that's how I can track where my leads came from. See, if I come into the contacts under lists, I have a category called Diabetic. And see, these are all calls that came in. As you can see here, this automatically tags it as diabetic, and I can easily put these into a follow-up system. So here's an example. And see, I don't even know what these numbers are that called me. But one thing I do know is that they came in through that phone number. By them calling, it tags them as diabetic lead, and then it also tags them with this follow-up. This follow-up is the series of messages that I showed you, which is to see this is a automatic message that was sent even without me involved. In this conversation, it didn't lead to anything, but at least I'm going to remind them that I'm here for a pickup. So this is super, super important and very, very rewarding if you do this. And anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick peek of what this is. If you're interested in this tool, I have a link in the description, and it will waive the $497 setup fee, because I've got this backdoor link that's the same link that they use for when they launched the product. I've been using this for real estate for more than a year. I've been one of their early adopters, and I've been using it for my real estate very successfully, making a good amount of money. And then I started doing this diabetic test strips on the side, and been doing really well with it as well. Kind of like, gosh, it's like making money on a rental income. It's just awesome without any of the tenants and toilets. So now that I've got this system in place, it's kind of turning into this ongoing passive income. And I would highly recommend that whether you use this tool or not, that you will really do something similar in your business to follow up automatically, because there's no way after a while, when you've got hundreds and hundreds of leads, to keep track of them. You don't want them to go through the cracks. Now with this, nothing slips through the cracks. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If it is, comment below, push the like button, and subscribe, and we'd love to help you out in the future. All right?